The Bengals have made a ton of moves this offseason, including adding 10 draft picks, a bunch of free agents. Senior executive Trey Brown is here to break it all down right now on Locked On Bengals.
You are Locked On Bengals, your daily Cincinnati Bengals podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi again, everyone, and welcome into the Locked On Bengals podcast. I'm James Erpine. I'll be joined by Jake Lisco and Bengals senior executive Trey Brown in just a second. Thank you so much for making us your first listen here on Locked On Bengals. And a quick reminder to subscribe on YouTube, follow wherever you get your podcasts, and shout out to all of the everydayers that listen, watch, and support the podcast. Trey Brown, well, he's been a big part of the Bengals offseason, from what they did in free agency to their moves in the draft. And so without further ado, let's get to our interview with Bengals senior executive, Trey Brown.
We're pleased to welcome Trey Brown to the Locked On Bengals podcast for the first time. Trey has been with the Bengals front office for a while, but new to this podcast, Trey, and appreciate you carving out the time to lend your perspective on the offseason. Before we get into that offseason conversation, can you talk a little bit about where exactly you fit in to this Bengals front office for folks who might be hearing from you, at least on our podcast for the first time?
Well, Jake, James, good to be here. Locked on, ready to go, excited. Thank you for having me on here. Hooday to everybody that's out there. No, great question. I mean, in terms of how I fit in, I'm, one of the guys that are just trying to find the best players possible for our organization and our roster. So, we have great ownership and a great scouting department, led by Duke Tobin, and Duke allows us to do a lot of things in the scouting community, and we love it. Dive right into it, and get an opportunity each and every year to upgrade our team. And we're in lockstep with our coaching staff, with what Zach Taylor and those guys do. And so I think in terms of what I do is just trying to find the best players that we can.
When you were entering this offseason, obviously you wanted to evaluate the roster. You take the big picture view with the draft, small picture, all of those things. And the front office puts together a plan both for free agency and the draft. If on January 10th, let's say, I would have told you that you added the free agents you added, that you had the draft that you had, would you have been happy with the result? Does this line up with the plan that I know wasn't fully put together on January 10th, but just time machine wise, did this line up with your guys' vision going into March and going into free agency?
Yes, it definitely did. And that's very exciting. And anytime you go through the off season, you have to be flexible. You have to be prepared. The preparation that we put in was key because you got to evaluate and study a lot of guys, and you don't know who's going to come available to you. You're doing work on guys that might end up ultimately re-signing back with their team. Some guys might ultimately get franchise tagged and remained on their current clubs. And you just kind of got to go through the process and be prepared for any guy that comes available. And I think that's what we did starting in free agency, kind of targeting some potential guys that we might have access to. And ultimately, we're very fortunate that they did come available for us. And so that was a big, exciting free agency for us, when guys that you study, evaluate, you lock in on in terms of, hey, how they fit in terms of your offensive scheme, defensive scheme, or even on special teams. And the guys that we kind of targeted, thought that would be great fits for us, ultimately were there. And then you got to then have the conversations with their representation in terms of their agents and communications through the negotiation process. So you might have guys that fit your scheme, fit your culture, fit your locker room in terms of what you want to bring in, but you ultimately work some things out and that falls through and a guy goes to another team. We were very fortunate to have guys that we locked in on and guys that we went through the process in terms of the negotiations. We were able to get them into the Cincinnati Bengals organization and really set us up going into the draft.
Yeah, something we've heard from the scouting department, from the coaching staff over the years, the past few years, picking toward the back of the draft in particular, is this term pivot and needing to be light on your feet in free agency and in the draft when things don't go exactly according to plan. I haven't heard a whole lot of the word pivot this year from the scouts we've talked to, from really anyone that I've talked to involved with the Bengals. Do you feel like there was less of that pivoting this year, just to keep with the whole, NFL, NBA trend this week, and using a pivot foot, and whether or not basketball players can play in the NFL and vice versa? But was there less pivoting this year?
No, I think that's fair. I think, we were very fortunate to, like I said, have the guys that were available for us to be able to talk to and work with to try to get here. And you never know. Each and every year is different. And you just got to be prepared for whatever's thrown at you. And I do, in terms of your questioning on, getting on the block and pivoting and drop stepping and finishing at the cup, I think we did all that. Maybe less pivoting or maneuvering, but ultimately scoring and putting the ball into the cup. I think we did that in terms of how we felt on how we attacked this process and the guys that we came away with. So, ultimately less pivoting, but definitely prepared. And the guys that we added, we felt were very good fits for our organization, and we're excited to have them.
From a culture standpoint, because that's such a topic, when you're evaluating free agents, bringing in free agents on visits, how do you balance that, make sure that they fit? What goes into that evaluation process? Because obviously you have an idea of the player. I'm sure you've talked with people around the league about the player, but then you bring them in on a visit. How does that go about determining, okay, they do fit, they don't fit, we should offer him a contract, we should not offer him a contract, we should pivot, and we should go look elsewhere? What goes into that decision making?
Well, I think first is what you see on tape and how those physical attributes, how do those fit in terms of what we do? We can't worry about everything else. We got to look in terms of what they do and what they do on tape and how they fit in terms of the Bengals offense or defense, or like I said, on special teams. So that's first and foremost. If we feel like their skill set is not a great fit in terms of how we would utilize them, maybe they're not good on these certain plays, or their movement or lack of movement doesn't fit in terms of what we do defensively. So there's a lot of factors that come across on the film. I think that's where it starts. And then once you check that box, like, hey, this guy does fit what we do schematically, then you can continue to go. And then, like you said, you're talking to your people that around the league, maybe people that have coached them, people that have worked with them at other organizations, maybe some guys that have also studied the guy when he was coming out of school, and kind of can have those conversations. Hey, this is what he looked like coming out of college. This is what he looks like now. Then you're also bringing in, our doctors and our trainers, the medical staff, to see, hey, how do we feel this guy is going to go, his production long term in terms of the health and the durability on the guy's body. So I think there's a lot of factors that come in terms of what he's fit, how the player fits. But then we get an opportunity to potentially bring some of these guys in, and they get a chance to visit with our coaching staff one-on-one and get on the film and see how they retain the information. So it's definitely a detailed process that is put together. And I think once we continue to follow that script, we have a good feel for the guy at the end of the day to be able to say, does this guy fit what we're trying to do going forward? And these guys that we did this offseason were absolutely yeses. And that's what we felt good about, is as we went through kind of those chain of events, these guys were great fits for what we're trying to do going forward.
And that is in line with the analysis we've done on this podcast as well. The scheme fit seems to be there. And of course, more more about the cultural fit than we would on the inside. You've talked to these guys, what your culture is like on the inside.
Today's show is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance is where you need to go. Let's get straight to the point. If you want to grow your portfolio, to deal with the rising cost of inflation, to pay off debt, pay off your mortgage, pretty much anything standing in the way of financial freedom, well, you want to do that. And with Yahoo Finance, you can get access to the news, data, and tools you need to help reach that financial freedom. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or you're looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you the exact tools and data you need in one place. They're number one in finance. They produce a holistic look at the finance news cycle, including breaking news, editorial perspectives, analyst ratings, and so much more. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. YahooFinance.com is where you need to go for comprehensive news and analysis. Visit the brand behind every great investor, YahooFinance.com, the number one financial destination, YahooFinance.com. That is YahooFinance.com.
This episode of Locked On Bengals is sponsored by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, whether it's superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, or something else for your vehicle. Whether it's speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you'll need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Trey, I have a question about your experience leading into Cincinnati. You obviously worked in New England. You worked with Howie Roseman in Philadelphia. You ran the show yourself in St. Louis before arriving with the Bengals. What were the big takeaways for you at each of those stops, working with, Bill Belichick and Howie Roseman and that level of football executive, the guys that have been around doing what they've been doing, and then running the show yourself in St. Louis? How has that translated in terms of the biggest lessons learned for you? Because you're a popular GM candidate, it seems like, for interviews the last couple of years as well, which has to feel good, I'm sure, for you.
Yes. Oh, it's always good to feel the love. Myself and my family love it here. So we're very fortunate to work with so many great people here. And I can say that really over the course of my career, I've really been spoiled with the great football minds and football people that I've been exposed to. I was very fortunate to start my career in New England. Great organization, great people, great coaches, great scouts, great personnel men and women there that I was working with. Then it was able to transition to the Philadelphia Eagles, which another great organization, great leadership, and great people that I worked with on the staff. And then, like you said, I had a short stint in these other leagues where really got a chance to develop and be a part of really everything within the organization. And those things are really critical, I think, to my development and my growth, just in terms of what we're exposed to in this business. And follow it up, where I am now, where I always say great leadership starts from the top, and we got amazing ownership here in Cincinnati, and amazing leader in our personnel department in Duke Tobin. So like I said, I've just been showered with riches in this business, and I think a lot of my success that I've had is really comes from a lot of the people like I just named that I've been around. So that's where I think I've learned and developed, is really been exposed to these people, men and women, that has really allowed, or fostered my growth, of course, in my career. And, I'm somebody that is always trying to get better, trying to learn, soak up knowledge. And when you have so many knowledgeable people around you, eventually some great lesson or trick of the trade is going to fall upon you, and you just got to be ready to take it in, because there's this league goes by quick. Every season goes by fast. And when you're trying to get to a championships, all those lessons you might have learned along the way, you never know when you need to use them. And I have a lot of things in my toolbox that I'm ready to use when those things come up. So yeah, I'm very grateful for everybody that I've been exposed to, and I'm very lucky in the business.
Not to put you on the spot, but is there like an anecdote from your time with Howie Roseman or an interaction with Bill Belichick that really sticks out to you, just with some of those? I mean, they're titans to me in the industry. Obviously, with Bill, everybody knows, but Howie Roseman is a very impressive executive to me in Philadelphia as well. Anything that you could share, but no pressure if not.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would share would be winning. I mean, those guys have won a lot of games in this business, and you never take those wins for granted. And those guys have been successful. Both been able to hold up the trophy at the end of the year, and those are things that we're trying to do here in Cincinnati. So I think those guys are great examples on how to, basically win in this business. And they've done a great job doing that. And, we got some great people here that we're on a track to do those things as well. And we're very excited for the opportunity and the challenges that are up in front of us. But, I think we have a good roster and a good group of coaches and good staff members that can get us there over the top. So we're looking forward to this season.
Couple of things, and I promise Bengals fans it's going to relate to Cincinnati in a second. But first, I have to mention it now. So I have a confession, Trey.
Okay.
I was definitely rooting for New England when you guys beat them 41-33 in Super Bowl. Like, I was so mad that the strip sack, you're probably celebrating. You probably have your ring stored away right now.
Yeah.
I just want to let you know I was frustrated by that result.
Well, I'm glad you came clean now while we're live and on air, because I mean, you could, if you would have told me that earlier, who knows if you would have got me on here, but
I saw that and I was like, man, because what quarterback throws for 500 in the Super Bowl and loses? That doesn't happen.
I mean, that thing went down to the wire, and those games, those Super Bowls are, those things are always exciting, and great talent on both ends. Both teams were loaded with a lot of superstars, and we were able to pull it out. But I can't believe you were on that side. Oh my goodness! Like, even
though I'm wearing green right now for those watching on YouTube, so wearing the green Locked On shirt.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's great.
I was a big Brady guy. I mean, obviously, right? It's easy to root for him.
Easy.
Our listeners know.
That's easy.
This episode of Locked On Bengals is sponsored by BetterHelp. Sometimes we all need the opportunity to get something off our chest. Big or small, certain things can really start to get to you. It's important to let that out, especially to someone who's unbiased on your life. And BetterHelp's there to help you through that. Today, I want to talk about how I really feel about something. You might even be thinking about the same thing this week. It could be Trey Hendrickson's trade request, T. Higgins' trade request, being a little fed up with these trade requests and this offseason drama in Cincinnati and the inability to just get deals done. Or maybe you're frustrated with the other side and the players. Could be something that is not related to football altogether, and BetterHelp can help you process those issues as well. Therapy can be different for everyone. Most of us have bigger problems than our favorite sports team, and it's important to get things off your chest every once in a while. If you're thinking of starting therapy, you can give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be flexible and suited to your schedule. You can visit betterhelp.com/lockedon to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
So given all of that experience, though, obviously Super Bowl champ, and Jake touched on who you've worked with. Now that you're in Cincinnati, you've been here for a few years now, you know what it's like. What would you tell anyone, whether it's in another organization, Bengals fans, anyone that asks what it's like in the Bengals front office? What would you say about it? The good, the bad, the indifferent. How would you present it? Because there's a lot of discourse, I think, about the Bengals front office, and so I'm curious as to someone who's worked in all of these different places, what it's like and what you would say about that.
Well, I mean, first I would say, just in terms of when you start your day, I mean, I can't think of a place where you're just so excited and thrilled to be able to work with such a great organization. I mean, every day, you know, you wake up and I just come with so much juice and energy because of, you know, the people that you're around. So first I would say, like, I mean, it's top notch in terms of the people that you're around each and every day. I mean, that's in every level of the building. You know, like I said, that's just kudos to, you know, our ownership and how they lead this organization. So that's first and foremost. I think in terms of our scouting department, we got a lot of elite people with our staff. We got a lot of talented football people in our building that you can just be able to just naturally communicate with. And when I mentioned a second ago in terms of soaking up knowledge, you know, when I walk into the room and you got guys like Duke Tobin, Steven Radicevic, Mike Potts, you know, Andrew Johnson, Christian Sarkisian, our whole group. I mean, we're really intertwined in lockstep, and, you know, the constant dialogue each and every day is really fulfilling, because I think that's gives us an opportunity to be great. And then on the same side, which I would say it's probably a little different than most spots, is the fact that we are in lockstep and intertwined with us, but also with our coaching staff. You know, that's something that's very unique. And, you know, I think that gives us it gives us a really good chance to be successful on the field, because we are constantly talking, what are they doing on that, you know, on the football field, what scheme they're running, how do we think a player can fit into what they're doing, or how maybe that wouldn't work. And so I think that dialogue back and forth with us and personnel, along with the coaching staff, for us to be such a tight-knit group, gives us that opportunity to put points on the board and stop people from putting points on the board when we line up in between those lines.
So when you're getting ready to sign a Trent Brown or draft Amarius Mims or Jermaine Burton or Chris Jenkins, how is that dialogue between you and the scouting personnel side of the world or of the organization and the coaching staff? How do you guys get on the same page as far as how those players could project into the Cincinnati system?
Well, I think the main thing is communication, right? Because you got to have those dialogues, and like it's not always clean, right? You know, there might be some guys where you feel like, this guy, you know, would be a great fit. And then after talking to the coaching staff and watching film and going over the routes we might be running, or the protection that we might be implementing, you might go back and forth a little bit, and you might be, well, that makes sense. This guy maybe wouldn't be a great fit. So I think it's that constant communication between us, going back and forth, watching film, meeting daily, and those things, to where ultimately we got to find the best fit for us in Cincinnati, not the best fit for, you know, the outside zone play, you know, the best fit for running a back shoulder fade. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do, and ultimately they got to fit what we're doing here. And I think the communication constantly on the daily, it's not, you know, once a month, or, you know, hey, we got something set on our calendar, you know, 4 weeks from now. It's every single day. It's walking through the hall, come sit down in the office. Hey, let's put this game on. Hey, Trey, did you watch that? Hey, Duke, did you see that game that, you know, versus Penn State? You know, hey, Steve, Mike, did you get a chance to see this pro day that I was at? So I think all those things during the course of the day, during the course of the season, naturally, you know, we take advantage of, and that allows us, like I said, to be able to find the best guy for us.
When you say it out loud, the front office communicates with the coaching staff. It makes a ton of sense to me, and that you'd want to be in lockstep. And yet you said it's rare, and you're not the first person to say that that's rare and unique to Cincinnati. Why is that so rare? Why wouldn't other organizations want coaches, front office, everyone to be on the same page? Because I know there are a lot of front offices that think their way, and then coaching staffs think their way. And I feel like that's a really hard way to go about things.
Well, to be honest with you, I hope they don't communicate. I mean, we're trying to go out there and and dominate. So I'm happy to know that. Yeah, I'm happy that if, you know, if they want to stay siloed and, coaches don't talk to the personnel guys and the personnel guys don't talk to the coaches, I'm hoping that's what they're doing at other places. But yeah, I mean, I can really just talk in detail what we're doing, and not to give our secrets away, but that's just a little taste, and a little taste of what I think gives us a little bit of an extra edge when we're competing with some of those other personnel staffs around the league, is that, we're very intentional. We're very, connected with us in terms of scouting and coaching. And like I said, I think that gives us a big jump on the rest of the league in terms of, how much we're communicating and how we're just really in lockstep really with everything that we do.
So without necessarily getting into specifics, what are you guys talking about now? And I'll put some context around that, I guess. You've got the draft in the rearview mirror. The majority of free agency is done. There's still pro guys out there that are unsigned that are still available. Are you still talking about making additions to the team, or what's this part of the offseason like for you in the personnel department?
Well, it's a beautiful day in Cincinnati. It's another day at the office. So we're constantly trying to upgrade and look at guys that are still out there, still available. To be totally honest with you, we have some guys that are coming in that are doing their physicals and getting checked out. And this is really the first time that we're going to have an opportunity for our coaches to be out there with our rookies and kind of put them together with our veterans and that are already here in the building. So it's exciting times anytime you get a chance to upgrade your roster and add an influx of talent into our building. And so I think it's a very busy. Guys are back, guys are practicing, guys are running, throwing, backpedaling, breaking. And then like I said, then you add an influx of talent into our building with some new guys that are going to try to get up to speed and learn the playbook and get acclimated to here in Cincinnati, but what we're doing day to day. So to your point, yeah, I mean, we're working, we're grinding. Anytime we get a chance to find new guys or, new additions to the team that can help us win, we're looking to do so. So, if you guys can run and jump and hit, I'd be trying to sign you guys right now, but
don't tempt James. James
Don't
thinks
do
he can
that.
do it.
Don't do that.
Yeah,
Trey.
yeah.
Come on. I'm gonna drive down to Paycom
I stay with my watch on me. So I mean, if you guys can run and jump a little bit, hey, we'll put you through there and see if you can hang.
I'll call Sam and I'll say, get me into Black Sheep for a little bit, and then I'll call you and we'll do rookie mini camps tomorrow. So I can't say the rookie mini camp tryout. Maybe next year when I'm 33.
Yeah, you got to pass the physical first. I don't know.
I'll pass the physical. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, we don't want those hamstrings getting tight. You know what I mean? And then the next thing we lose you for 2 weeks, you're in a boot or something. We don't want that.
I will play for free, so it wouldn't matter. if podcaster signs for free, that sign me up. I will do that all day.
That's beautiful.
I getting back to, you were in Philly, and they were starved for a championship. Like I could feel it here, and obviously I'm not aware of what it's like there, covering the Eagles, all of those things. Do you feel that here with the Bengals and with fans in Cincinnati?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you talk about the greatest fans in football right here. And, this is a great fan base, and, they deserve, a championship. And that gives us motivation every single day we come into the office. There's a lot of people that put in a lot of work into this team, and the fans are right there at the top. I mean, they come out, show up every game, support. Great. They're, great fan base for our players and in the community. And, they're very supportive to what we do. And there's nothing better than, bringing home the final trophy at the end of the year and celebrating that with your fans. And that is something that we're all striving for each and every day when we come to work here in Cincinnati. Great fan base, and can't wait to do that one day when we get that opportunity to.
Oh, we can't either. Locked On Bengals would love to cover that. I'll tell you that. Trey, appreciate the energy. Sure. Can see that very clearly. First impressions, not that you asked. Great energy. Love the insight. Love the enthusiasm. Appreciate you taking the time to join us and talk a little bit about what you're doing with the Bengals.
Love it. Glad to be on. Locked on. We're always ready to go. So happy that we got an opportunity to talk to you guys and hopefully, get a chance to see James one of these days run a 40 and, do his vertical jump and maybe get some real scouting eyes on him,
4.8, which is not good enough for a 5'9", 180. It's not. I agree. But it would be sub 5, which is good for the average guy.
Look, high IQ, football smart, study and preparation. You can overcome some of those things with the game upstairs. And so that's right. What guys like you have, James, that mental, that vision, and that work ethic, man. So, I wouldn't count you out, as long as like I said, as long as you pass the physical, then you got a chance.
I think you're going to have a special physical that is different than the regular one. I'll pass the regular one, but
this is just what we needed. James' ego through the roof here to finish up the week. Appreciate it, Trey. That's going to do it for this episode of the Locked On Bengals podcast. Until next time, thanks for listening. Hoo day, and have a good one.